see. Okay. How do you feel your life experiences have shaped who you are today?
My life experiences, I'm a product of a broken home. And so I was raised by my father, so I tried to be the mother I never had.
Mm-hmm.
So that I felt like that shaped me to try to be a good mom. I think working for large companies in the legal field has helped me be driven as a career, as a female in a predominantly male career field. I feel that has shaped me to be to work hard to get where I'm at today. I feel like my education has really paid off. I spent many years getting the 3 degrees that I earned, and so that I think has shaped me a lot into who I am today. And being a mom of boys has definitely shaped me. You know, I think there's a false pretense in that, you know, boys, you know, their feelings don't go as deep as girls, and they're tougher than girls, and you know, they're cheaper to raise than girls, and they don't show their emotions, and I think that's all false. It's all untrue, you know, because my boys were not like that at all.
I also think a lot of that has to do with how you're raised and how welcoming the home environment is. You know, when I see Dylan's soft side, I know that comes from his mom. I know it comes from his mama, and I see the way that he treats me. I know a lot of that comes from you, and I know that a lot of that comes from Terry as well. And, you know, over the years, granted, the things that he's had to go through and that you guys have had to go through, but I think it made you, I know it made you guys very good people, and I'm very thankful to have you guys in my life, you know. And also I want to touch on what you said earlier about, hold on, my phone keeps getting notifications. I also want to touch on what you said earlier about how you're a female in a predominantly male field. And now we're starting to see a lot more women coming into predominantly male fields and making their step forward. That wasn't always a thing. And I'm sure that played a big part in becoming who you are, because in society, maybe not so much now, but in the past, even sometimes now, men have their kind of say, and they think that women can't do what they can do, and that's extremely false. Women can do anything that they want to do. Sure, physically our bodies are different. Physically there are things that men can do that we can't do, just like physically we can do things that men can't do. But as far as shaping yourself and becoming a person, it's just having that voice and not letting people define who you are.
Right.
And I think that's where a lot of people get afraid, is they're afraid to speak up and they're afraid to let something define them. But it's just about overcoming that barrier.
Right. And not being scared to challenge the status quo, and to, you know, not only look through that glass ceiling, but to shatter that glass ceiling, and not be scared to, you know, not be scared to have your voice heard. You know?
I like that. I like how you said that, shatter the glass ceiling. Because it's almost like sometimes we are placed in a box, and, you know, in this scenario, there's women are placed in the box and men are walking over on top of this box, and it is about throwing those rocks and letting our voices be heard. And I know my class is going to love to hear this, because we're a class of women.
Right.
Where,
well, if there's anything that I can provide to that, is you walk into a room, and if there's a table in that room, women tend to sit on the peripheral portion of a room, and they let men sit at the table. You ever walk into a room, you watch where the men sit, and then watch where the women sit, okay? I challenge you, Kaitlyn, and any of the girls that are the young ladies that are in your class to move that chair away from the wall and move it. Move it to the head of the table. Lean in and move towards that table so you have a seat at that table and you have a voice at that table. And if you don't, you're already positioning yourself on where everybody's going to see you in that room, that you're not going to be engaged, or you're scared to have your voice heard. And if you're sitting along the wall and not up at the table, it's your own fault if your voice is not heard. And not to be scared to actually say, excuse me, and have people to your left and right move over so you have a room and you have a seat at that table. Always make sure you have a seat at the table. Because if you don't, the old saying goes, if you're not at the table, you're for dinner, right? You're the meal. And they'll eat you alive. And so even if it's uncomfortable, keep sitting at that table, and
overcoming those challenges. Like we were talking about earlier, overcoming those small challenges that make you who you are.
That's right.
And lastly, my last question for you is, what are some of the traditions or values you hold dear that you've carried with you throughout your life?
Holidays, definitely holidays, Christmas and birthdays. I try to make a big deal about those. Traditions, celebrating, when the boys were home, I would celebrate Valentine's Day with them, I would make sure that they knew that Valentine's Day wasn't just for girls. What else? What other traditions? I think those are the big ones. Waking my kids on Christmas morning, just making it all about them.
Well, it sounds like you've lived that beautiful life, and you've given me some really good information, and I know you're going to help touch the hearts of some of my fellow classmates. I wish you could meet some of these women, because some of these women are shaping me into a better woman, and I'm very thankful to have strong women in my life like you and my classmates and my teacher, and, being able to think about these things as we age. I think that's important, is listening to what the older generation has to say, because they've lived life, up until this point right now. You've lived everything that I've lived, but you're still living life, and you still have so much more life to live. And so you can take these things that we've talked about and carry them with you and the rest of your life, and I can carry them in the rest of my life. And I think that's a lot of things that people aren't necessarily aware of,
Right. I don't feel very strong right now. I feel like just a big mush of emotion, I'm sure. I was not expecting these questions.
No, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but you did wonderful. Thank you so much.
No problem. Good luck.